Hello, friends and family. Welcome back to Sober is Dope. I'm POP Buchanan. I'm the host of the Sober is Dope podcast. A little bit of information about me. I'm 8 years sober. My sober date is December 15th, 2012. And I wanted to do a short video answering the question on why I stopped drinking alcohol and what motivated me, right? And the short answer is I was at rock bottom. I was tired. I was broken. I didn't want to die. I got tired of the trap, the vicious cycle of addiction, needing to drink all day, although my body was hurting and I was sick, still needing to do this thing. And I got tired of being controlled and being a slave to my addiction. I didn't understand why I was a slave to the addiction of alcohol, but I was. And I was really tired of that cycle and I didn't want to die. And when I hit rock bottom, I came from a really good place, graduated college years before, had a great company, had a great business, had a good place, but I lost everything because of the nasty nature of alcoholism. And I used it as medicine. And although I was depressed, I just kept using alcohol to deal with that depression, to deal with the pain, to deal with the anger, to deal with the loss, right? And later on, I learned that when people are dealing with depression, loss, whether it's you go through a divorce, whether you lose your dream job, whether someone in your family dies, our brain processes the loss as grief, and that changes the brain in a form of neuroplasticity, meaning that your brain changes and your hormones change, your vital neurotransmitter hormones. And that's how depression and anxiety starts in a really dumbed down way. So in order to deal with this depression, I would drink, and constantly drink alcohol. And the end result was this nasty cycle of addiction. And one day I just was in the streets. I lost my place. I had nowhere to go. And I just felt so broken. I lost so much in my life. I had nothing, no one to call. I jeopardized important relationships. I lost my place. But most importantly, I lost my self-respect. It's important for you to understand that if whether it's drugs or alcohol and you're trapped and you feel part of that nasty cycle, that cycle where you feel crappy and you need to use to feel better, and then you get more sick, more depressed, and more angry, more broken, and then you get sick again, and then you need to use again to feel better, and then you get sick again, and then you need to use again. I understand. And the problem with that cycle is alcohol and drugs are not the answer. And for me, I got really tired. I lost all my energy. I lost weight. I was just had no direction. I couldn't live a normal life while using alcohol. I couldn't keep a job. I couldn't do anything, right? And I was a pretty bright kid, pretty bright future. And it just was too much. So why I stopped drinking is it was a trap, and I got tired of the torment. I got tired of being tormented with addiction. I got tired of being tormented with the need to go buy more alcohol, to the point to where I lose people that I love, things that I love, and I reduced the quality of my life to pretty much the gutter. I hit rock bottom hard. And one day I decided to just get on my knees and give my life back to God and surrender. I was walking in the middle of the street 8 years ago, December 15, 2012, and I just broke down. I couldn't do it no more. I was tired. I wanted to eat. I didn't want to live this way. I saw someone throw a cigarette on the floor. I needed to smoke because I was sick. I went to get that cigarette and I just broke down, started crying, gave my life back to God. I said, I'm just tired. I can't do this. I'm not going to smoke this cigarette. I'm better than this, and I deserve better than this. But it wasn't until I totally, fully surrendered and said, enough is enough. I'm really giving my life to God. I'm really trying to change. And I sat there in the middle of the street and I looked up to the sky and I started praying. I started asking God for help. I threw the biggest Hail Mary in my life. Then I got up and I felt spiritually inspired to go to the hospital. And I went to a hospital in Manhattan, New York, and I begged the hospital in a detox unit to detox me and to help me get help for my addiction. And although I didn't have insurance or anything, the hospital was really good. They worked with me. The nurses sat down with me and they said, we're going to figure it out. And eventually the director of the hospital came down and he asked me, he said, kid, if you're willing to change, if you're willing to do the work, if you're willing to fly straight, I'll help you. But are you going to fly straight and not waste my time? And that was a big question. And I looked the director of the hospital directly in the eyes and I said, sir, I don't want to die. I'm willing to fly straight. Give me a chance. I could do this. I won't waste your time. And that was the blessing that I needed. The director of the hospital sent me up to detox, and that was day one of my story. That was day one of a miraculous end to a vicious cycle of addiction. And then I went to rehab, and I stayed in rehab for 1 year. And I did everything that I could. I took an all-in approach to my recovery. I went to Alcoholic Anonymous. I saw a therapist to deal with my addiction. I saw a psychiatrist. I had to take medication. I learned how to pray again. I learned how to meditate. I exercised. I changed my diet. I changed my life. And I committed myself to staying sober no matter what. And I'm here 8 years sober today because I made a decision to stop the vicious cycle of addiction. It started in my heart, it started in my mind, and then I surrendered. And I realized I was powerless. And I'm happy that I gave my life back to God that day. I'm happy that I chose myself. And I'm happy that I'm alive and thriving. Today, I have no desire to drink. I'm just really comfortable in my life. And if I did, I have the tools and resources to reset myself and to get back on track. I'm Pop Buchanan. I'm 8 years sober. Listening to Sober is Dope. I decided to start a podcast to help other people who are going through this addiction, so you know you're not alone. I decided to share my story with the world to inspire others to find healing and transformation in their addiction and in their story in life. Listen, bottom line, if I could get sober, you could get sober. I promise you that. If you're struggling with addiction, check out the Sober is Dope podcast on Apple or Spotify. And if you want to talk to me, hit me up on YouTube or at soberisdope@gmail.com. I love you all. Don't give up on yourself. You deserve it. Second chances belong to you. I'll catch you on the other side. Peace and love.